Okay, it's time to talk about the finale to Fairy Tail Zero, Chapter 13.
Boo! I wanted it to keep going and reveal all the secrets. I don't want to wait for it to be revealed in the main series. I wanted to know it now.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is the end. And I ain't talking about the movie, but yeah, I mean, let's
And
let's get into this. So,
I mean, it's pretty much the chapter was focused on. Oh yeah, now that everything's done, let's form a guild.
hmm because why not?
Why not? So, and of course, because it's her idea, they named Mavis the first master.
Uh-huh.
Not because I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you were surprised by that, then I don't know what the hell you've been reading.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, if you came into this series like without reading the main series, what?
Why? What? First of all, why would you read Fairy Tail Zero if you haven't read Fairy Tail?
Yeah, I know.
It's weird.
I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, they obviously they made the guild. That was a shocker. Mavis is the first master, also a shocker.
Here's a big shocker: the guild they were previously was Self Labyrinth, Hardy Har Har, the same treasure hunter guild that those three idiots were from the during the Sun Village arc.
hmm
And apparently, the master of the guild they just beat up started a new guild called Phantom Lord.
Yep. Which later gets the shit kicked out of him by Fairy Tail.
Uh,
Oh, shocker.
and then, of course, you get they all try to give their guild a name that praises them.
hmm
But she's like, "Oh, we're gonna name it Fairy Tale." But
Right.
if you want to talk about comedy, nothing comedy gold is brought to us in this chapter in the form of, "Oh, by the way, we'll just call Tenro Island our Holy Land just because."
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of funny.
And it eventually does. I mean, it
Well, yeah,
keeps
but
them alive as long as that tree's standing.
that's probably related to the whole thing about what happened to Mavis.
Yeah, most definitely. Which effectively pretty much makes it a holy land for Fairy Tail at that point.
Yeah. Now the big thing that got everybody talking, the timeline on the last page,
hmm
basically revealing certain about certain dates about certain things that happened in relation to Fairy Tale's history, from its founding to current events,
Right.
which is kind of odd to do that and just glance over it like, oh, these aren't important, but they are.
Yeah.
Now, of course, some of the things they mark out is like, oh, when Yuri gets married, when Makara was born, when Yuri apparently died in the year 700, like only a few years after Makarov was born,
Uh-huh.
which supposedly is supposed to like eliminate the whole theory that he's God Serena, but I still don't buy it.
Yeah, same.
I don't see a dead body.
Exactly.
Remember, this is anime we're talking about.
hmm
No, no, sorry. This applies to anything. Until you see a dead body, don't believe it.
Yeah.
Because there have been tons of movies and television shows, both animated and live action, that have used this whole thing of the character is supposedly dead. But no, not really.
hmm
Some of them even show you a dead body. But
Right.
nope, it's not that. It's a different. That's somebody else made to look like the person you thought died. Or in the worst case scenario, or should I say the worst offender, Dragon Ball Z, oh, we'll just bring him back to life.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. Like, you have friggin' King Yama with the friggin'. Where every time they go there, they have King Yama, like, punch a hole in their card. And he's like, once you get your card punched 10 times, you get a free yogurt or something.
Right.
Like some stupid shit like that. But anyway, this is where. So, but the whole idea of that, he died so young and so close to, or so shortly after his son is born, raises a lot of questions as to what the hell happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, he had to have been killed. If it's true that he's actually dead, he would have had to have been killed.
Yeah.
And if he was killed, we have to figure out by who. Because obviously, both Warrid and Hades were still alive. I can't pronounce his original name for the life of me.
What, Purhito?
Yeah.
Or Prect, as they say in
Fairy Tail Zero.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know.
It's weird. But the point is that they lived for a long time, so
yeah,
it's not like, and if it wasn't for Zeref, Prect would have still be alive.
Right.
So, and honestly, there's a lot of interesting things. Like, he's gonna come back into the story again because there's a lot. Pretty much everything is gonna come back to Mavis because, as we all know, Mavis was the founder, and the other 3 founding members, whatever happened to Mavis had to have sparked something, a change in everyone, which is, which could explain why friggin' Ward looks like a fucking tree.
Right.
We could explain it could also explain why Prect had such an obsession with dark magic.
Mm-hmm.
Could also explain whatever eventually would happen to Yuri that supposedly kills him.
Right.
So, there's a lot of odd things going on.
Yeah, I'll say. And of course, they had to erase that. They had to scratch out that one part.
That showcases what happened. That would normally say, oh, this is what happened to Mavis. Now, this is something was such a super crazy. Now, if any of you have also listened to our Fairy Tail reviews, I mentioned how there was going to be a crazy theory that was going around about that had to deal with this timeline, and here it is. People noticed something interesting. They noticed, but where did I leave off?
It literally cut you off when you said they noticed. Like, wow. Perfect timing.
Anyway, they noticed something interesting. And that is that on the timeline, according to the timeline, whatever happened to Mavis happened a year after Makarov was born, which normally wouldn't mean anything unless you factor in their crazy theory, which is that Mavis died giving birth to Makarov. Or, which is like, what? First, like, somebody was like, oh, well, that can't be. She died. Whatever happened to her was a year after, Makarov was born. And then someone was like, oh, well, she probably was so weakened by it that she died, like, later on because of it. And then somebody else was like, dude, pedophilia much? She hasn't aged. So there's like, what? Why would that even be a thing?
I want to look up something real quick while you're talking about that.
But the thing that is really that is just so weird about it or it's not that weird, but people have pointed out as to why it doesn't make any sense is because it would have been mentioned already. Because Makarov would have obviously pointed out that his mother was the founding member of Fairy Tail.
Right.
So, unless Yuri didn't tell him, but then again, Yuri died when he was 4, and if that's the case, that means Makarov would have grown up with no parents.
Yeah, he was probably raised by Frecht.
Probably, but we don't know because we don't know what happened to Mavis. But I highly doubt that Mavis would have ended up with anyone because she was too childlike.
Yeah, what I was just looking up was Makarov, if Makarov had a birthday that was specified, because if they said like his birthday was like December 31st, well,
no, that was also, I didn't mention that, but that was also commented saying his birthday's in March.
Is it?
Yeah, it was said that supposedly he was born in March.
Oh, because I was going to say, if they were going to do something like December 31st, 11:59 p.m., he's born, 12 a.m., Mavis dies. You know.
But that still wouldn't explain how she ended up becoming Fairy Heart.
Right, yeah. I know.
And whatever the hell they ended up doing to her that had to deal with Tenro Island.
Yeah.
So, this only answers a lot, very little questions, and creates a lot of more. Because we're presented with so much information and with no specification or detail.
Fuck.
They don't want us to get the truth out.
We're almost done.
Yeah. So.
Right. Go ahead.
Where did we leave? Where did it cut me off?
Details was the last word you said.
Oh yeah, the fact that we were presented with new information without any specifications or details as to the circumstances around them. So, because they want to save that information for the main series, which makes sense, but it still doesn't mean that I like it.
Right.
Like as a fan, I don't like it. But as an intelligent human being, I understand that it has to be done that way.
Yeah. Certainly.
So.
Yeah, you can acknowledge something makes sense. You just don't have to like it. Yeah, certainly.
That's what
like the pairing. I'm just kidding.
No, and no.
I'm just. I can be such a troll sometimes, but no, let's not go there.
All right, so I think that's just about covers that.
So I mean, the chapter overall, it was a good chapter. I mean, a good ending, I guess.
And the miniseries as a whole was very good.
Yeah, the miniseries on many occasions was more interesting to me than the main. So, yeah.
So, I hope you all enjoyed this review and join us next for the main series reviews.
Yeah.